Conflict. Now there's a word that sets the table, isn't it? Brings the candles flickering, the nerves twitching, the hearts thumping in their cages. But here's the secret no one tells you about conflict. Done right, it doesn't destroy love, it refines it, especially when you're arguing with an avoidant. Yes, today we're diving into how to argue with an avoidant without breaking up. A dance on a razor's edge, if ever there was one. But one that, with the right shoes, the right rhythm, and the right amount of emotional grace, can be navigated with dignity, and dare I say, a little elegance. Now let's be honest, shall we? Arguing with an avoidant partner can feel like trying to spar with a ghost. You throw a punch, metaphorically speaking, and they vanish into thin air. Disappear behind silence. Detach. Retreat. And suddenly, you're not fighting with them. You're fighting with yourself. Take a moment and picture it. You've got something bubbling inside. Something real. Maybe they forgot a call. Maybe they brushed past your feelings like they were dust on the mantle. So you raise your voice, or your eyebrows, or your expectations. And what do? They fold in on themselves. Say, it's not a big deal. Say nothing at all. Or worse, walk away mid-conversation, the ultimate conversational disappearing act. But let me tell you a story. There was a man named Henry, architect by trade, quiet, disciplined, brilliant with numbers, hopeless with feelings. His wife, Clara, was all heart, emotionally fluent, passionate, expressive. You could read her heart like an open book. And Henry's pages were sealed with wax and buried in a vault. They had what you might call conversations, though Clara described them more accurately as emotional hostage negotiations. Whenever they disagreed, she'd push, he'd withdraw, and the only thing that ever got resolved was her appetite, because she'd end every fight eating ice cream alone. Until one night. It was late. They had fought. Again. This time, she told him, "You just shut down every time we have a problem." And Henry said, quietly, but clearly, "Because I don't know how to be safe and open at the same time." There it is. You see, arguing with an avoidant is not about winning. It's about navigating a minefield where safety is the terrain, not the prize. These are people, often men, who've learned since childhood that emotion is danger, that expressing needs leads to rejection, or worse, ridicule. That connection is the door to vulnerability, and vulnerability gets you hurt. So how do you argue with such a man? First rule, ground the conversation. Begin with an assured outcome. Before the first syllable of disagreement leaves your lips, assure him, "We're okay. This isn't the end. I want to solve this, not leave." Watch how the tension drains from his shoulders, because nothing terrifies an avoidant more than unresolved emotional explosions. They associate confrontation with abandonment. So when you lead with security, not threat, you bring him back into the room. You make it safe for him to stay. Second, be direct, not dramatic. Avoidants aren't fluent in emotional nuance. Say, "You don't care about me," and you may as well have spoken Klingon. But say, "When you don't respond for a day, I feel disconnected. Can we talk at a set time each evening?" Now that is something he can measure, track, understand. He doesn't need you to mask your needs in poetry. He needs the spreadsheet version of your heart. What? Why? How often? If you can give it to him that way, he can show up. Third, don't demand instant depth. Avoidance opens slowly. They're like ancient vaults, not microwave ovens. If he shuts down mid-argument, don't chase. Let him regulate. Come back to the table when he's ready. Emotionally, these men are marathon runners, not sprinters. Remember, silence is often how he processes. He's not punishing you. He's trying to make sure his response doesn't light the whole house on fire. Give him time to draft his reply. Fourth, regulate your emotions first. If you approach him mid-storm, flinging emotional lightning, he will bolt. You must become his safe place, before he can even think of letting his defenses down. It's not about suppression. It's about clarity. Saying, "I'm angry because I care. I want to fix this, and I need you with me on it." That turns your fire into warmth, not a wildfire. Fifth, watch for what he does, not just what he says. He may not declare love in a monologue, but if he's listening, if he shows up to talk, if he changes a habit even slightly, that's a love letter in action. Learn to read his behavior the way he's trying to read your emotions, with patience and attention. Now, back to Henry and Clara. After that fateful conversation, Clara shifted her approach. Before they argued, she'd hold his hand. Literally. She'd say, "We're safe. We're solving, not breaking." She began presenting problems like shared puzzles, not accusations. And slowly, Henry unfolded. He began speaking more, listening deeper. They still fought, but now, it wasn't war. It was navigation. They were teammates in the cockpit, not adversaries on the battlefield. They learned to fight for each other, not with each other. So if you love an avoidant, and you find yourself on the edge of yet another silence, or worse, a goodbye, pause. Ground the conversation. Speak with clarity. Lead with stability. And for heaven's sake, give him the benefit of the doubt. Not because he's fragile, but because he's learning a second language, emotion, and he's terrified of saying the wrong thing and losing you forever. How to argue with an avoidant without breaking up? Argue like you're building a bridge, not throwing rocks. Argue with your hand still reaching out. Argue with the end in mind. A resolution, not retribution. Because beneath all that silence, behind the fortress walls and logic shields, is a man who's simply scared to lose the one person who finally made him feel like staying.
If you believe this video might help someone dear to you, share it with them. A small gesture on your part could mean the world to a friend in need.